The wind howled across the empty alien desert. Red dust moved in great circles, covering the broken stones and sharp black cliffs. The sky was heavy, colored with two pale moons and a sun that looked sick and weak. A man walked there. He was human. His boots were worn, his jacket torn, but his eyes were sharp. He had been alone for many days, moving across this strange planet. His ship was broken, his radio silent. Each step was heavy, but he walked on, searching for shelter, for water, maybe for hope. Then he saw her. At first, she looked like a shadow standing near the rocks, but when he came closer, he saw the truth. A woman, but not human. Her skin was pale silver, shining faintly under the moons. Her eyes were large, dark, filled with fear. She was holding two small children close to her body. The children hid, their faces but their thin arms clung to her dress. The woman stepped forward, her hands shaking. Her voice was soft, broken, yet desperate. Human, please, take me as your wife. My children are good. The man froze. For a moment, he thought. He had misheard her words. Wife? Children? On this dead planet? He looked at her again, searching for lies, for tricks, but her face showed only fear and sadness. He spoke carefully, his voice rough from dust and silence. Why would you say this? Why come to me? The woman's eyes shone with tears. She lowered her head, her long hair falling over her face. My husband is gone, killed. Without a husband, I am nothing here. Raiders hunt widows. They take the children, sell them, or worse. Alone, I cannot survive. With you, maybe they will leave us. You are human. They fear humans. The man's heart beat faster. He had heard stories during his travels, rumors that aliens sometimes saw humans as strange protectors, even as legends. But he never believed such tales until now. He stepped back, shaking his head. I cannot, I don't know you, I don't belong here, this is madness. But her voice grew sharper, full of panic. Please, if you walk away, they will find us, they are near. You do not understand. They always smell fear, they will come. The children began to whimper, clutching tighter at her legs. The man looked around the desert, silent, still. Yet something felt wrong. The air was too heavy. The wind carried a strange whistle, like the echo of a predator waiting in the dark. He lifted his weapon, checking the charge. Empty. He had only a knife now. His stomach turned cold. He was not ready for a fight. The woman reached out, her hands trembling as she touched his arm. Human, I beg you, if not for me, then for them. My children are good. They will not trouble you. Just stay with us, please. Her words cut through him like a blade. He saw the children's faces now, thin, frightened, eyes wide and shining, not monsters, just young, lost souls. But before he could answer, the sound came. A low growl. Far away at first, then closer, metal against stone, heavy boots in the dust, voices, hard, cruel, laughing. The woman's body stiffened. The children hid behind her, shaking. They are here, she whispered. The man turned, staring into the shadows of the cliffs. Shapes moved there, tall, armored, carrying weapons that glowed red in the dim light. Raiders. Their helmets reflected the moons, their eyes like fire. One of them shouted in a language the human could not understand. But the meaning was clear. They had found prey. The woman grabbed his arm tightly. Now you see, without you we die. The human's throat was dry. He looked at her, then at the children, then at the approaching raiders. His mind raced. He was weak, his weapons low, his body tired. But something deep inside stirred, something old, something human. The raiders laughed louder, moving closer, ready to strike. The children began to cry softly. The woman closed her eyes, whispering prayers in her alien tongue, and the man, alone, lost, hopeless, stood taller, gripping his knife. His heart thundered, his eyes burned with fire. He did not know why, but he would not step back. Not today. Not while she begged. Not while the children watched. The night filled with the sound of footsteps, shouts, and the promise of blood. And in that moment, the desert knew one truth. A human had been asked for help, and humans never walk away. The desert night was alive with danger. The raiders had stopped at a distance, their shadows stretching long under the moons. They did not attack yet. They were waiting, testing the human, laughing at the fear they thought they saw. The man stood in front of the alien widow and her children, his knife ready. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. He knew he could not fight all of them. Not like this, not without a weapon that mattered, but the raiders did not rush forward. Instead, one of them lifted a horn to his mouth and blew a long, cruel note. The sound echoed through the cliffs, sharp and cold. It was not a war cry. It was a warning. They play with us, the woman whispered. They wait for the fear to break us. The children clung to her dress, hiding their faces. The human's grip on the knife tightened. He had fought before, but never like this. Never on a planet where he was alone, where the air itself seemed to hate him. The raiders finally turned away, disappearing into the dark like wolves fading back into the forest. Their laughter echoed for a long time, then faded too. Silence returned, but it was not peace. The silence was heavy, a promise that they would return. The woman fell to her knees. She held her children close, rocking them gently, whispering words the human could not understand. Her shoulders shook, not just with fear but with exhaustion. The man looked down at her. Dust blew across his boots, stinging his face. His voice came out rough but steady. They will be back. Why me? Why would you ask me to be your husband? Her head lifted slowly. Her silver eyes glistened with tears. Because they fear you, she said. Because you are human. Do you not know? Your kind is rare here, your kind is strong. Stories are told of humans. Raiders kill aliens without thought, but humans, they bring death even in small numbers. You are a storm to them, a shadow of war. If you stand with me, they will hesitate. If you call me wife, if you call my children your own, they may not touch us. The man blinked, confused. His mind wanted to reject her words, to call them madness. He was just one man, lost, broken, with nothing but a knife. How could they fear him? But then he remembered. In the wars of his own world, humans were always underestimated. They were smaller, weaker, slower compared to other races. But they survived. They fought with cunning, with fire, with spirit. Perhaps these raiders had learned the same lesson. The woman's voice grew softer now, heavy with sorrow. My husband is gone. He was strong but not strong enough. Without him, my clan cast me out. Widow, burden, easy prey. I ran, but I cannot run forever. My children. She touched their hair gently. They are innocent. They deserve life. Without you, they will not have it. The man's throat tightened. He looked at the children. They were thin, yes, but their eyes glowed with life, hope still flickering inside them. They stared at him with silent questions. Would he protect them? Would he abandon them? He stepped back, shaking his head. I don't belong here. I cannot be your husband. I don't even know your name. The woman looked at him with hollow eyes. Name is nothing in the desert. Survival is everything. But if you must know, I am Sira. Sira, he repeated quietly. The name was sharp, yet soft. It lingered on his tongue. Sira straightened her back. Even with fear in her eyes, she carried herself with dignity. You can leave me. You can walk into the desert. But if you stay, you must claim me. You must call me wife. If not, the raiders will see me alone. They will know I am weak. They will strike again. And next time, they will not play. The human turned his eyes to the sky. The moons burned cold above, offering no comfort. His ship was gone. His hope of rescue was small. He was already trapped in this world, already marked by fate. Was this madness? Or destiny? The children's small hands reached for him, not touching, only stretching toward him with trembling fingers, silent, but begging. The desert wind carried a sound again. Not laughter this time, not horns, only the faint echo of armored feet moving far in the distance. The raiders were not gone. They were circling, watching, waiting. The man lowered his knife, not in surrender, but in thought. His voice came out heavy, almost bitter. If I take this step, there is no turning back. Sirah's eyes did not leave his. There is no turning back anyway. Not for me, not for them, and not for you. The silence stretched between them. The children held their breath. Even the wind seemed to wait. Finally, the man spoke, his voice like iron breaking stone. Then I will stay, for now. But understand this, Sirah. I am no savior. I am just a man. Sirah bowed her head. Even a man is more than we had. Far away, the raiders laughed again, their voices rising under the moons, and in the broken desert, a strange bond was born. Not of love, not yet, but of desperation, survival, and a promise made under the shadow of fear. The night was long. The human and Sirah moved carefully through the desert, the children walking between them. The raiders were out there somewhere, their laughter still echoing inside the human's mind. But for now, the cliffs hid them, and the darkness gave cover. The human kept his knife close. Every sound made his hand tighten around the handle, every whisper of wind, every shifting stone. He had learned long ago. Danger always came when you thought you were safe. Sirah walked quietly beside him, her long hair hiding her face. She carried one child on her back, the other clung to her hand. The children made no sound. They had learned silence the hard way. After hours of walking, they found a hollow in the cliffs, a small cave, just enough to block the wind. The human checked it first, moving inside with sharp eyes. Empty. Safe for now. They sat. The human dropped against the stone wall, his body heavy with exhaustion. Sirah held her children close, whispering soft words in her alien tongue. The children soon drifted into uneasy sleep. For a long time there was only silence. The human closed his eyes, listening to the faint breathing of the children. But then Sirah's voice broke the quiet. You wonder why I chose you. The human opened his eyes. Her silver gaze was fixed on him, clear even in the half-light of the moons. Yes, he said simply. Sirah lowered her head, her fingers brushing the hair of her youngest child. Long ago I heard stories of your kind, stories whispered in fear and awe. Humans, fragile in body, but strong in ways no one understands. You fight like fire, you endure like stone. Even when broken, you rise again. The human gave a tired laugh. I am no legend. I am just one man with no ship, no home. Her eyes softened. And yet even now you stood between me and death. Even now you chose not to run. That is what makes you human. That is why they fear you. The man fell silent. Her words carried weight, but they felt heavy on his chest. He did not see himself as strong. He was only surviving, one step at a time. But maybe that was enough. Sirah's voice lowered, trembling, now. My husband, he died because he trusted the wrong people. Raiders killed him and left his body for the vultures. I buried him with my own hands. She looked away, her silver skin shining faintly in the moonlight. My clan said I was cursed. A widow brings only weakness. No one would help me. No one would feed my children. We were thrown out like waste. Her hands shook as she spoke, but her voice hardened with anger. The raiders know. They hunt widows. They take the children and sell them to the black markets. Or worse, they feed them to the beasts of the deep deserts. I ran, but I cannot run forever. That is why I begged you. The human listened, his jaw tight. He had seen cruelty before on other worlds among his own people too. But hearing it now, spoken so simply, cut him deeper than he expected. He looked at the sleeping children. Their faces were thin, but their small chests rose and fell with fragile hope. He understood now. They were her reason to fight, her reason to survive. Without them, she would have given up long ago. The human spoke slowly. "If I stay with you, the raiders will still come. You know this." Sira nodded. "Yes. But with you, they will fear. Even if only a little. Fear is enough." Fear buys time. The man leaned back against the cold stone wall. His eyes drifted to the cave mouth, watching the night beyond. He thought of his own people, of battles fought on distant planets, of comrades who never returned. Humans were feared, yes. But at what cost? Always fighting, always bleeding, always. Standing between the weak and the strong, he closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "If they come, I cannot promise to save you. I cannot promise to live." Sira's answer was quiet but firm. "No one can promise that, but you will fight. That is enough." For the first time since he met her, she smiled. A small, tired smile, but real. The human said nothing. He simply watched her for a moment, then turned his gaze back to the night. The desert outside was silent, but he knew it was only the calm before the storm. The raiders would return. They always did. As he drifted into light sleep, one thought echoed in his mind. What madness had he stepped into, and why, deep inside, did it feel like destiny? The cave was silent, but the human did not sleep deeply. His body rested, yet his mind stayed awake, listening. Every sound in the desert seemed sharper than before. The hiss of the wind, the shift of stone, the faint cry of some unseen creature. Sira slept lightly too, her children curled against her side. Even in rest, her hands clutched them close, as if letting go would mean losing them forever. Then the sound came, a scrape, metal against stone, slow, steady, deliberate. The human's eyes snapped open. His knife was in his hand before he moved. He crouched low, silent, every muscle tight. The scrape came again, followed by a low growl. Shadows shifted near the mouth of the cave. Figures moved in the dark. Raiders. They had returned. The human touched Sira's arm. She woke instantly, her eyes wide. He put a finger to his lips. She nodded, pulling her children close, covering their mouths gently to keep them silent. The first raider stepped into the cave. His armor was black and jagged, his helmet glowing faint red. He carried a blade crackling with energy. Behind him, more shadows pressed closer. The human's heartbeat thundered in his chest. He could not fight them all, but he could fight enough to make them think twice. He moved like lightning. The knife flashed, cutting across the raider's throat before the alien could react. The creature stumbled, choking, and collapsed to the ground without a sound. The others growled, rushing forward. The cave erupted in chaos. The human slashed, stabbed, dodged. His body moved with old training, muscle memory born from years of survival. He cut down another raider, then kicked a third back into the stone wall. Sparks flew as weapons clashed, the air filled with the stench of blood and burning metal. Sira shielded her children, her silver eyes wide with terror. But beneath the fear there was awe. She had begged him for protection, and now he fought like a storm. The raiders hissed, snarling in their alien tongue. They were stronger, larger, armored. But the human was faster, more precise. Every strike was aimed to kill, not to wound. Every movement was sharp and ruthless. Still, the numbers pressed hard. His arm burned with cuts, his chest heaved for air. He could not keep this pace forever. One raider lunged, blade raised high. The human blocked with his knife, but the energy weapon cracked against the steel, nearly breaking it. The force knocked him back, slamming him into the cave wall. His vision blurred. The raider growled in triumph, stepping forward to finish him, and then Sira moved. She grabbed a broken rock from the ground and hurled it with all her strength. It smashed into the raider's helmet, cracking the visor. The alien stumbled, stunned. The human did not hesitate. He drove his knife deep into the raider's chest. The creature fell, twitching, and went still. The others hissed in anger, but something changed. Their movements slowed, their growls uncertain. For the first time, the raiders hesitated. They had seen what one human could do. The leader snarled something sharp, guttural. The raiders pulled back, dragging their wounded. Their red eyes glared with hate, but also with caution. They retreated. Into the night, their footsteps fading into the desert. Silence returned to the cave. The human stood, his chest heaving, his body trembling with exhaustion. His knife dripped with blood. His hands shook, but his eyes burned with fire. Sira rose slowly, still holding her children. She looked at him with disbelief, her lips trembling. You fought them like 10 men. The human shook his head, wiping blood from his face. No, I fought because I had no choice. Her eyes softened, filled with something new, something more than fear, respect, hope. And yet, you chose not to leave us. You stayed. You fought. That is what they will remember. That is what they will fear. The children peeked out from behind her, their small eyes wide. They stared at the human as if he were something more than flesh, more than a stranger. The man dropped to his knees, his strength finally breaking. He leaned on his knife, his breath ragged. They will come again, he whispered. Stronger, with more. This was only the beginning. Sira knelt beside him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. Then we will face them together. You are not alone now. For the first time, the human let the words sink in. Not alone. He looked at her, at the children, at the faint glow of the moons outside the cave. Something stirred inside him. Something he thought was gone long ago. Not love, not yet, but purpose. The raiders had tested him tonight, and they had learned a hard truth. A human, even alone, was never prey. A human was the storm that turned the hunters into the hunted. The desert was quiet again. Too quiet. The raiders were gone, their leader dragged away in shame. The sound of their retreat still echoed faintly, but the battlefield itself lay still. Bodies littered the sand, weapons cracked and broken. The cave that once felt like a prison now looked like a monument of survival. The human sat against the stone wall, his knife at his side. Blood streaked his arms, his breathing shallow, but his eyes remained sharp. He was alive. Barely, but alive. Sira knelt beside him, pressing cloth against his wounds. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. You should be dead. No one has ever stood against him and lived. The human gave a weak smile, his voice rough. Then maybe he's not as strong as he thinks. Or maybe I'm just too stubborn to fall. Her silver eyes filled with tears. She lowered her head, her hair brushing his shoulder. You fought for us. Not because you had to, but because you chose to. That is something no one here understands. The children pressed close, their small hands gripping the human's jacket. They looked at him not with fear, but with shining awe. In their eyes, he was not just a man. He was something more. The human closed his eyes for a moment, breathing the cool desert air. The fight had nearly broken him, but inside, he felt something stir. A warmth he thought he had lost long ago. Belonging. When the moons climbed high above, Sira spoke again, her voice quiet but clear. When I begged you, I asked for a husband. I asked for protection. But what I found was different. You are not just a shield. You are family now. My children are yours, if you will have us. The human opened his eyes, meeting hers. For a long time he said nothing. Words felt too heavy, too small for what had happened between them. Finally he spoke, his voice calm. Family is not blood. Family is who stands with you when the world tries to break you. If you'll stay with me, then yes, you're mine, all of you. Sira's tears fell, but she smiled through them. Her children clung tighter to him, whispering in their own tongue. She translated softly. They say, They have a father again. The human's chest tightened. He wrapped an arm around them, holding them close, his heart heavy but strong. For the first time in years, he was not alone. Days passed. The desert slowly healed from the battle. Scavenger birds picked at the remains of fallen raiders while the wind covered their footprints with endless dust. The human, though scarred, grew stronger again. With Sira's care, his wounds closed. With the children's laughter, his spirit mended. But peace was not certain. The raiders would remember. The alien lord would heal and hunger for revenge. Yet something had changed. They had seen a human stand against them and live. They had seen fear in their leader's eyes. The legend of humans would spread like fire through their ranks. And legends had power. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Sira stood beside the human at the cave mouth. The children played nearby, laughing for the first time in months. She looked at him with quiet pride. You gave them something no one else could. You gave them tomorrow. The human watched the children, a small smile on his lips. No, we gave each other tomorrow. Alone, none of us would have survived, but together, we made it. Sira's hand brushed his. Not desperate now, not begging. Just a simple touch, full of meaning. You are not just my husband now. You are my partner, my equal, and my heart. The human squeezed her hand gently. His voice was low but filled with truth. Then let this world know. Humans may break, but we never bow. And when we stand together, we cannot be moved. The desert wind rose, carrying his words far across the cliffs, as if the planet itself listened. In the distance, shadows stirred. The future would not be easy. There would be more battles, more dangers, more nights filled with fear. But now, they would face it not as strangers, not as a desperate widow and a lost wanderer. They would face it as family. The human, the alien widow and her children. And the universe would learn a truth that could not be silenced. Humans may be fragile, but their spirit makes them stronger than any empire, any enemy, and any storm. The cave smelled of blood and smoke. The fight was over, but the memory of it still hung in the air. The human sat near the fire he had built, his body bruised, his clothes torn. His knife lay on the stone beside him, cleaned but still sharp, ready if danger came again. Sira sat across from him, her children curled against her. Their tiny bodies trembled less now, soothed by her whispers and the warmth of the flames. She watched the human silently, her silver eyes filled with questions she did not ask. At last she spoke. You saved us. The human's gaze stayed on the fire. The flames flickered in his tired eyes. I did what I had to do. Sira tilted her head. No, you did more than that. Many would have left. You stayed. The human said nothing. His silence was not cold but heavy, like a man carrying too many memories. The children stirred, peeking at him shyly. The older one whispered something in their alien tongue. Sira smiled softly. He says you fight like a thunderstorm. He says you are strong. The human's lips curved slightly, almost a smile. Thunderstorms burn out quickly. Perhaps, Sira said. But while they last, they change everything. The cave grew quiet again, except for the crackle of fire. When the children finally fell asleep, Sira moved closer to the human. She sat beside him, her hands folded in her lap. For a long time she did not speak. Then her voice came, soft and uncertain. You do not know what this means. For me, for them. We are not safe yet, but tonight you gave us hope. And hope is rare here. The human turned his head, studying her face. He saw the lines of exhaustion, the strength hiding beneath her fear. She was fragile, yes, but not weak. She had carried her children through loss, exile, and danger. She had begged, but she had not broken. He found himself saying words he had not planned. I've fought before. I've lost before. I know what it means to be left behind." Sira's eyes widened. For the first time, she saw not just a fighter, but a man haunted by his own past. "Then you understand," she whispered. "You know why I cannot give up." The human nodded slowly. His hand brushed the dirt at his side. He thought of people he had lost, of comrades who had fallen far from home. He had carried their weight for years alone, but now for the first time in a long while he felt something shift. Not family, not yet, but a connection. The next days passed in a rhythm. The human taught the children simple things: how to start a small fire, how to sharpen a stick into a weapon, how to listen to the wind for danger. The children followed his every move, their eyes bright with admiration. Sira watched too. Sometimes she asked questions. Sometimes she only smiled when the children laughed. Those small moments, tiny bursts of light in the dark desert, made her heart steadier. But shadows were never far. At night, the human heard distant horns. The raiders had not forgotten. They were gathering, waiting for the right time to strike again. Each sound of metal carried through the wind reminded him peace was only an illusion. One evening, as the sun set behind the jagged cliffs, Sira spoke again. "They will come back, with more, with their leader. He hates widows who resist. He hates humans most of all." The human's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare." Sira lowered her eyes. "You cannot fight them forever. Even storms fade." The Yao human turned toward her. His voice was firm. "Maybe. But storms leave scars. If they want me, they'll have to bleed for it." Her eyes met his. For the first time, she did not see a stranger. She saw something closer to a shield, not unbreakable but willing to stand. That night, while the children slept, Sira whispered quietly, almost to herself, "I asked for a husband, but perhaps I found something more. Perhaps I found hope." The human heard, though she thought he slept. He said nothing. But in his chest, something long buried stirred again. Not love, not yet, but belonging. And that was enough to face the coming storm. The desert was no longer quiet. For days the human had heard it. The rumble of footsteps carried on the wind, the distant horns that echoed through the cliffs. The raiders were gathering more than before. He had seen their scouts watching from the ridges, glowing eyes in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. That moment had come. The sun sank into the horizon, painting the sky red. The human stood at the cave's mouth, his knife sharp, his body tense. Sira stood behind him, her children clinging to her dress. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the dying light, but her face was pale with fear. "They are here," she whispered. The ground shook with the march of many boots. The raiders came in rows, armored and armed, their blades humming with deadly light. At their front walked a taller figure, covered in black steel, his mask shaped like a beast's skull. His eyes burned red, the alien lord. His voice was deep, cruel, echoing across the desert. "Widow, you thought you could hide? You thought a human would save you? No human can stand against me." Sira trembled, pulling her children close. But the human did not move back. His feet stayed firm in the dirt. His voice was steady, sharp like steel. "Then come and try." The raiders laughed, their voices rising like a storm. The Lord raised his blade, pointing it toward the cave. "Kill them all, leave nothing." The horde rushed forward. The human leapt into the fight. His knife flashed in the firelight, striking the first raider down. He dodged the next, slashing deep into armor, moving faster than their heavy weapons could follow. But they were many, too many. The ground became a battlefield. Sparks flew as metal clashed, blood sprayed across the sand. The human's arms ached, his body burned with cuts, but still he fought. He fought like a storm, like the stories Sira had once heard. Behind him, Sira grabbed a spear from a fallen raider. She was no warrior, but desperation gave her strength. She stabbed at one who came too close, protecting her children with fire in her eyes. The children threw stones, small but fierce, screaming as they tried to help. Their courage burned brighter than fear. The alien lord watched from a distance, unmoving, his red eyes fixed on the human. The battle dragged on. For every raider the human cut down, 2 more stepped forward. His chest heaved, his legs shook, but his spirit refused to break. He thought of the children's faces, of Sira's desperate plea. He thought of the promise he had made, not with words, but with action. Not while they watched, not while they begged. He would not fall. Then the Lord moved. He stepped into the fight, towering over the others, his black blade humming with deadly energy. His first strike came like thunder, slamming into the human's knife with crushing force. The shock sent pain through his arm. The human staggered, barely blocking the next blow. The Lord's strength was overwhelming, his strikes heavy and merciless. The human dodged, ducked, countered, but each clash pushed him closer to the edge. Sira cried out, her voice breaking. "No, please!" The Lord laughed, his voice cold. "See, widow, your human bleeds. He will fall like all the others." The human's body screamed with pain. Blood dripped from his wounds, dust filled his lungs, yet his eyes still burned. He tightened his grip on the knife, his voice low but steady. "You should fear humans, not because we are strong, but because we never stop." With a roar he struck. He feinted left, then slid under the Lord's neck swing. His knife slashed upward, cutting across the Lord's arm. Sparks and blood sprayed. The Lord growled in rage, swinging again. The human ducked low, driving his blade deep into the gap between armor plates. The Lord screamed, staggering back. The raiders froze. For the first time, their leader bled. The human stood tall, his chest rising and falling, his knife dripping. He pointed it toward the horde. "Who's next?" Silence fell. The raiders looked at their wounded lord, then at the human who refused to fall. Fear spread through their ranks like fire. One by one, they stepped back. Then they turned, dragging their leader away into the desert. Their horns no longer sounded proud, they sounded afraid. The battlefield grew still. Only the crackle of fire and the heavy breaths of the human remained. He dropped to his knees, his strength gone, his body shaking. Sira rushed forward, her children at her side. She caught him before he fell, her arms strong despite her trembling. Tears ran down her silver cheeks. "You did it. You saved us." The human coughed, forcing a weak smile. "No, we saved each other." Her hand held his face gently, her voice soft. "Even if we die tomorrow, tonight, you showed them. You showed me. You are more than a man. You are our storm." The human closed his eyes, resting against her. His body was broken, but his spirit still burned. For now they had survived. But the desert was not done with them yet.